Come have a seat in the Skald circle, and hear the tale of the White Bear and the Trolls of Dovrefell, as told by Casimir. Once upon a time there lived in the far north a skilled hunter who trapped a great white bear. Seeing that the creature was noble and strong, the hunter decided he would tame it and take it to the King of Denmark as a gift. The hunter and the bear trudged along on their long, difficult journey. On Christmas Eve, they arrived in a place called Dovrefell. This was a wild, windy moor, filled with heather and rock, and no place for shelter. The wind howled and the sky threatened snow. "'Tis Christmas Eve," said the man to the bear. "It would be good to settle somewhere warm and comfortable this night." Then in the distance the hunter saw a light. He was glad, for he could see that soon snow would fall. When they arrived at the house, they knocked on the door. The man of the house answered. "I wonder if we might have a room for the night, my bear and I." "I wish I could welcome you," said the man, whose name was Halvor. "But for the past many years we've had a bad time in this house every Christmas." "Ah, it is so cold here in Dovrefell, though," said the hunter. Halvor nodded. "That it is," he said, "but I must warn you. Every Christmas a pack of trolls come down upon us, and we must all leave this house. For 7 years we have had nothing to ourselves on Christmas, not even the children. The trolls come and destroy it all." The hunter listened and nodded. "Sir," said he, "my bear and I are not afraid of trolls, and my bear is a quiet fellow. He will lie under your stove, and I can sleep anywhere." Halvor shook his head, but when he heard the wind shriek and howl, he could not refuse. And so the hunter and the bear moved in and settled down. The woman of the house was cooking Christmas supper. The 3 children helped her. The hunter watched and was puzzled, for no one in the whole house smiled. The family and their guests enjoyed a fine meal, but still, no one smiled. Soon everyone went to sleep. The next day was Christmas, and the family once again sat down to feast, but suddenly the pack of trolls appeared. They were big and little creatures. Some were hairy with long, thin tails, and some had noses as long as pokers. Some had bulging eyes, and some had 20 toes. In they came, crashing through the door, sliding down the chimney, crawling through the windows. They shouted and cried. They banged pots and pans. They twirled their tails and tapped their toes on the wooden floor. Halvor and his wife and children fled in fright. The hunter sat in the corner. He was not afraid and wanted to see what would happen. He watched as the trolls gobbled food and threw the plates and drank everything in sight. They continued to shout and scream, to scratch the walls and pound the floors, and slap their tails upon the table. The tiny trolls were the worst of all, though. They screamed at the top of their lungs and pulled each other's tails. They climbed up the curtains and threw jars of jam, and fished the pickles from their crocks. Still, the hunter and the bear sat quietly watching. Suddenly, one of the little trolls spotted the bear. He grabbed a piece of sausage, stuck it on a fork, then he walked to the stove where the bear lay. "Here, kitty, kitty," he screeched, and poked the fork against the white bear's tender nose. The bear opened its mouth, and the little troll pulled the fork away and howled with laughter. The great bear did not like this at all. He growled deeply, his eyes grew dark with fury. Slowly he crawled out from beneath the stove and growled once more. The house shook with the sound, and the little troll screamed. Then the bear lunged, and in a moment the whole pack of trolls had dashed out of the house. The hunter stepped from his hiding place in the corner. He patted and praised his bear, and fed him a big piece of sausage. Then he went to the door and called to Halvor and his family, who were hiding in the woodshed. "Come and make merry," he cried. The family returned. They were amazed to see the troll was gone. The hunter told them what had happened. Together they all helped to clean up the mess, and soon after everyone was eating and drinking and making merry, celebrating the best Christmas of all time. The next day, the hunter and the great white bear set off once again on their long journey to the king. 1 year passed, and once again it was a cold and windy Christmas Eve. Just before sunset, Halvor stood on the Dovrefell moor, near a stand of scrub trees, chopping the wood he would need for the holiday. He stopped to rest and leaned against his axe. Suddenly he heard a voice calling to him, "Halvor! Halvor! Halvor!" He turned and called, "Who is it? What is it you want?" He saw no one at all. The voice called again, "Do you still have your great white cat, Halvor?" Halvor smiled to himself. "That I do," he called back to the hidden creature. "She's at home under the stove, and she's had 7 kittens now. Each one is bigger and fiercer than she." The voice screeched, "You'll never see us any more," it squealed. And sure enough, Halvor never did. And ever since that time, no one has seen the trolls of Dovrefell. And that is the tale of the White Bear and the Trolls of Dovrefell. Thank you for listening to our story. If you enjoyed it, please take a look at our Patreon page and learn how you can earn great rewards while also supporting us. Once again, thank you for listening to our story.